You know, and to think, Jay, less than 2 years ago, the company was basically announced and we had nothing. The team's doing an amazing job.
Yeah, that's terrific.
The range extender will have 150 miles of EV range, so you have a lot of EV range. I mean, most Americans drive 30, 40 miles a day, so you'll have that,
And you know,
which
people
is
get
dynamite.
spoiled. 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds is really fast.
Obviously, cool technology, cool everything, but
Yeah, I always love having a backup system. You know, I use my electric vehicle when I'm running around town to go to the airport, leaving the car there.
Exactly.
And then my gas car's when I want to have fun.
And what we were surprised by is even electric enthusiasts wanted to have it as well, because they said exactly what you said. I'll always drive electric, but 10% of the time I like having the backup. Honestly, Jay, it's why we see so much love for Scout. The community loves it, the people loves it. It's something you root for.
Welcome to that episode of Jay Leno's Garage. The vehicles we're featuring today, two prototypes of the new Scout. Those of you that remember International Scout, it's what trucks used to be. You know, pretty much you got the AM radio, you got your manual transmission, you got your bench seat, you had something you could just drive through the dirt or the mud and do all kinds of work. And then trucks got kind of luxury vehicles, Cadillac versions of trucks, you know. These are two prototype vehicles for, I guess, for the calendar year 2027. So we're getting a first look at them here. I think it's a pretty exciting concept. They're going to be built in the United States. Let's find out more from Scott Keogh. Scott, come on, you're the president. We go way back to Maybach 20 years ago. How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having us.
You know, it's interesting. People seem to be clamoring for this type of vehicle without all the crazy accessories and the idea that your truck has to be a Cadillac or like a Mercedes, you know. People just want a basic vehicle. I see the success the Maverick truck has had.
Exactly.
And International Scout, now it's just Scout Motors, correct?
Correct,
Okay.
exactly right.
But International Scout is one of those American companies that people just remember fondly.
Yeah.
These things just ran and you couldn't break them. Now, it is an electric vehicle with a range extender. Explain what that means.
Yeah, look, the platform is a battery electric platform, and one of the great things about that, 1,000 pound-feet of torque, great packaging, but we have a really smart solution, which of course is range anxiety and everything comes from it. We put on the rear axle a really smart high output 4-cylinder engine. That's going to give you the ability to charge the battery. So the axles will spin on the battery, the engine will do its job of keeping the battery charged. So it's a really slick concept.
You know, I remember, I guess it's 30 years ago, Mercedes had an electric car with a trailer, like a U-Haul, that was, again, a range extender. It put more electricity into the battery. So the way this works is, when your battery starts to run out of, quote, juice, the range extender kicks in using gasoline.
Exactly.
To provide more power. So it gets you what? 500 miles?
Yeah, I mean, combined, it'll get you over 500 miles, which I think is exactly what America needs. And again, away goes the anxiety, away goes all the nonsense, and you got a crazy, cool performing truck. So we think it works well. It's a good idea.
Yeah, and you're not reinventing the wheel here. This is a body-on chassis, old school. We know how to build those. We build those body-on chassis better than anybody.
One or two of them, yeah.
Yeah, and so you've got two engines, two electric motors.
Yep.
Front and back.
Exactly.
And then you have the range extender on the back.
Exactly. Just off the rear axle there. Exactly.
And how many gallons of gas would that take?
It's about a 15-gallon tank is what it's going to be able to hold, obviously to give you that range and make it happen. But you know, I think you're right. I think America is yearning from doing some of this old school cool trucks. We think there's a lot of like, dude, where's my car? Software is going to take over. Screens will be everything. AI will handle it. You don't need to drive the car anymore. And we want to get Americans back to like driving and doing.
Well, range anxiety is the one thing people do. You know, it's funny. I will drive a gas car and see that I've got 110 miles left. That's fine. An electric car, when I have 110 miles,
you freak out.
I'm not going 110 miles, but I just freak out because what's going to happen? So the range extender thing. Now, I'm driving my electric car. I've used my 350 miles or whatever it is of electricity. The range extender automatically kicks in, or do I have to switch over somehow?
No, it automatically kicks in.
Okay.
Look, to simplify it, you'll be able to make 3 choices if you want. I want to go pure EV. I got home charging in my house. I can go 150 miles. Great, you can go pure EV. I want to go hybrid mode, which mixes the both and optimizes to get maximum range. And then even have a heavy duty mode, which will call in the engine heavier. This would be for towing and heavier applications.
Okay. Speaking of towing, now what kind of towing capacity do you have with this?
Look, on the electric vehicle, on the truck, the Terry here, up to 10,000 pounds of towing, so real deal. Payload 2,000 pounds. On the Traveler, a little bit less, about 7,000 pounds. When we get to the range extender, both of them we'll be able to do about 5,000 pounds. So we've got authentic
So that's
towing
comparable
vehicles.
with a gas F-150 or something.
100% accountable with those.
All
Yeah,
right.
with all the cool things, the torque of electrification. So it's a really slick concept.
For a while, I think Toyota specifically didn't jump into the EV mode the way everybody else did. Everything's going to go electric by 2030. You got to get those gas cars out of here. They were smart enough to realize that hybrid is what most people want and are comfortable with. If one fails, you have another backup. I always like having, like when I get in an old car, I love it because my old cars have the wind-up clock in the dash. So if the battery dies, the clock, you know what I'm saying? I know it seems silly, but I like independent systems. So that's what you have here.
Yep.
Because I remember when some companies started to go hybrid, they thought, oh, that's a stupid idea. Just go fully electric.
Yeah.
But now there's not enough electricity in a lot of the grids, and here in LA, people are stealing the wires for the copper and all this kind of. So this way, you've always got a gas backup.
Exactly, and that's why this concept of an extender is really smart. I think the difference is, right, your typical hybrid, it runs on an engine. The battery is sort of the backup. The downside of that is oftentimes you're pulling around a battery that's never charged and not being used. This one reverses that concept, which I think is super slick, because people do like some things about electrification. All torque, all day. Massive silence. I can drive around town under that environment. It also, by the way, introduces people to electrification, but you always have the comfort and, as you say, this really cool factor of this generator at the back of the car.
Now, if you're not a car person, what would be you just leave it in the hybrid mode, so you just run on the gas and you get the best of both worlds?
If you're not a car person, it's simple. Stab it and steer.
Yeah.
So just put your foot on the pedal,
Steer
the car around.
You know, in LA, that sounds like a hijacker.
No
hijacking. This is a bad analogy.
I think it was a Tarantino movie. I think used that somewhere.
Stab it and steer. Yeah, that's really cool. All right, very good. Now these are calendar year, what, 27 models?
Yeah, exactly. We're engineering these vehicles as we speak. We're building a plant, as you know, as you said, in Columbia, South Carolina. And we expect them to come down to late in 27, come down the line, ready to go for America.
So we got American workers building American vehicles.
Exactly right.
And this is
American engineers engineering an American vehicle.
Right. So engineered in Detroit, built in South Carolina.
You got it all.
All right,
exactly.
very cool, very cool. And what are we talking here? Aluminum, fiberglass, what do we got?
This is a blend of steel and aluminum. I think we wanted to get the combination get the cost right. I think fiberglass would be way too expensive. And we also wanted to make the vehicles, you could touch these vehicles at home, repair them at home, do things. So we wanted to have a big buildability concept in this thing. So a mix of steel and aluminum throughout. Strength, weight. I think we made the right calls.
What are we doing battery-wise? Lithium ion, is that there?
It'll be a combination. It'll be nickel, magnesium, cobalt in the bigger battery for the electric car, and then for the range extender, it'll be an LFP, which is basically lithium to your point. A little bit of iron in there, and a cheaper battery, but of course allows you cycle times, very durable, so it's a smart selection.
So when I get in the car, I put the key in. I don't have the key, the fob, whatever you call it. I press the starter button.
We're going to go back to keys a little bit too, so you're going to have a real thing. It's not going to be like just you getting in there.
But in the hybrid mode, is it a gas car essentially? It starts on gas and I'm driving and I'm getting both, or does it start on electric and go to gas?
Probably the initial one right off the bat will start with the battery, but the intent is both of them working seamlessly. You should not notice. All you're going to notice, the car's got a ton of torque, a ton of power, and it's moving. Since the engine's in the rear, relatively big vehicle, noise, harshness, vibration, all those things won't be noticed too much.
Okay, so obviously solid axle on the back, right?
Solid axle on the rear, with 1,000 pound-feet of torque, tons of power in there. The electric vehicle will go 0 to 60 in under 3.5 seconds.
Wow, that's
even with the range extender, it'll be 4.5 seconds. So these are going to be real fun machines.
Boy, that really is fast, yeah.
Super fast, super fast, exactly.
Interesting. Okay. And again, like you said, body on chassis, like we've always built. Very cool. All right, let's see what else. Now we have two models here. This is the truck, and this is obviously the SUV.
Exactly.
Is it an SUV? Would they call it an SUV, or what do you call it?
That's the American definition, so we'll keep it, so we'll stick with that one. And look, we have an SUV and a truck. We keep it simple. The names, we went back to the iconic names from Scout, so they made a vehicle called the Traveler. So this one is the Traveler, and of course this one's the Terra, which is the pickup truck.
Now, those of us that are old guys, we have fond memories of the International Scout. How important was that as opposed to just coming out with a new vehicle called the Vision or something? I mean, do you find that having that nostalgia, does that play a role?
Jay, 100% critical. I think there's a ton of made-up companies out there with made-up names, right? They called some company, let's say, let's give us a name.
Right.
Like you just came up with Vision.
Right.
And it has no meaning. I think the best way to describe it, there is no there.
Yeah.
When we did the clinics, Americans had this nostalgic view.
Yeah.
Scout was the icon. If you think about names of most truck SUVs, they're basically all rip-offs of Scout.
Right.
4Runner, Blazer, Trailblazer, Discovery, they're all synonyms of Scout. So this is the Godfather, and it's like, let's bring the Godfather back. I think, as you also mentioned, in America right now with geopolitics and everything, the time is right. Like, let's stop outsourcing things. Let's stop letting other people do it. Let's do it here. So the name is perfect. Those who know it love it. Those who don't know it go on this discovery mission, and boom. And I think, as you know, these segments are booming. Let's get off-road. Let's do things.
Yeah.
You see them with Discoveries, right? You see
Well,
them
in
with
California, when you're on the road, it's like off-road.
Exactly.
I've got a Tesla. I had 3 flats in 1 year. Bam! I hit these potholes, and the thin wall tires. It blows right out the side. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're going to be good. You're going to be good
You
with
can
these
fire bullets into the
35s.
side of this
You'll
thing,
be all right, Jay.
But the ethos of this is basically the same as the original Scout.
Exactly.
Just keep it simple, nothing too crazy. Probably you got heated seats, you got electric windows. Those are all a given now.
Those are a given.
But
we do go beyond AM radios, I'm sorry to tell you.
Yeah.
But we'll have to do that one.
Oh,
but yeah.
all right, okay.
We have switches, so actual switches in the vehicle.
Right.
Differential switches, accessory switches. We didn't bundle everything into the screen, so it's 3 levels down. It's right there in the switches. So
Yeah,
it's great.
I find most truck people I know don't like the screens. You just touch it, you just switch it out.
Exactly.
Okay.
And to find a heated seat, as you say, you got to go 3 levels in. You got to go into the nav. It's like, no, let's heated seats, like a light switch. Just hit the light switch.
And
it's
it
right
looks
there.
like you've sort of copied this. I mean, I would recognize this as a Scout after, when did they go out of business? 83, 84?
1980. 1980 was
they were
the
gone.
last one, came down the line in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, but this still has that look.
We had to do that. There's a lot of enthusiasts out there, and we want to make sure we kept the proportions right, which you can see, super short overhangs. You can see the daylight opening. We definitely wanted to keep the Scout feel. And we also wanted to be credible. I think a lot of people said, well, let's just do some badge engineering, put a sticker on the car and call it a Scout. No way, which is why, as you said, body on frame, solid rear axle. This thing's the real deal.
Okay.
The other little thing here, Jay, as you probably noticed, is they made a version of the car called a Rally. And so we did a little homage to that with the Rally stripes here coming down the car. So really slick stuff to pay to the heritage of the past.
So this is just a prototype you've kind of cobbled together for us to go around the block to get the idea. You start building these. Well, they're building the factory virtually as we're talking.
Exactly. I hope they're doing it right now. No, they're doing it. Steel is going up. We're enclosing the major shops, paint, body, and assembly, as you know. And then for the vehicle itself, we have some prototype mules as we speak, and they're being tested. So the vehicle's happening.
I think it's great. In 1915, we had 350 automobile companies in America.
That's right. That's
and
right.
Each one went out of business.
Right.
And it wasn't until maybe the year 2000 where we had Tesla, we had Rivian, we had Lucid, we had all these new companies. Suddenly there's new automobile companies, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, those all fell by the wayside.
Right.
And it's good to see Scout coming back because it's a name people like. But once again, we said it just to make it clear. Let's suppose my wife loves EV. I'm an old school guy. I can just get in this and just run it on gas, just pretending it's a gas engine, and the electrical kit, and the two will work side by side.
100%. And how it's designed is we've designed it for this thing to always hold a steady state. A steady state, in our definition, on a highway, 70 miles per hour.
Okay.
So that's the combination of the battery and the gas working together. When you're not able to hold the steady state, it's going to say, Dear Jay, time to go get gas. By the way, just like you would do in a gasoline car. So you go get gas, it holds that steady state.
So if I'm a guy, I don't have a house, and like a lot of Americans, I live in a townhouse. Those apartments look like apartments, but they're townhouses. And there's just parking spaces and no EV plug-in. I can just run on gas all the time, can't I?
Exactly right.
It's just a regular car.
Exactly. And the battery will hold that high state of charge because you're not using the battery too much, and then the gas engine is doing its job.
Yeah,
exactly
that seems to be a problem. I know a lot of people say, I'd like to get an EV, but I live in an apartment, and you plug in the street, some kid comes along and unplugs. You know, they're just stupid things. Yeah.
And in fact, even to the extreme scenario, but let's say you're out camping and whatever happens, the actual gas engine can also continuously be charging the battery. So let's say you're out on a campsite, you can use that time to actually be even charging the battery. So it's got a lot of versatile back and forth, which is really cool.
Let's say I've used all the electricity. How long idling would it take to put enough to get me 20 or 30 miles out to the, you know?
To charge the battery back? Yeah, those calculations we haven't run, we're not at it.
Okay.
What I do know, it's got a 800 volt architecture.
Right.
If you were high speed charging, you do 300 kilowatt hours, 350 kilowatt hours, so it charges extremely fast. Obviously the engine will charge the battery a little bit slower than that, but it's designed for those occasions.
But the 800 volt is sort of second generation electric, isn't it? A lot of the cars, even ones now are only 400, right?
Yeah, but it charges far more faster, far higher technology. So people do both. Usually to save a little bit of cost, you would go with the 400 volt, but to be able to charge fast and the dynamics that we want, 800 volts the way to go. Most people are going to be moving that direction. It's going to get cheaper as we navigate.
Now, how about the real off-road enthusiasts with the sway bars that disconnect and all the other kind of unique off-road that has that?
Yeah, this is ground up. So you got the sway bar disconnect, you got the e-lockers. So this is
so you can lock,
100%. So this car will go anywhere. You got 100% gradability. If you look at the ground clearance for both egress and regress on this side, 100% off-road credible vehicle. The weighting height is high on the vehicle, so yeah, all that's standard on a Scout, by the way.
Suspension adjustable up and down, or what?
Yeah, we will have an air suspension on this vehicle. That'll be, so one will have a standard setup, and then as an option, we'll have an air suspension as well.
Okay. All right. Well, this is pretty exciting. And again, we're talking...
Pretty exciting. This is
very
super exciting. This car is awesome.
So we're looking at the calendar year 27, which is really not that far away.
No. When you think of the engineering and the production, we've got a lot of work to do, but we'll make it happen.
Well, let's take it for a ride, see what it does. Okay.
Let's do it. Looking forward to it. What do you think?
Interesting. Okay, I like buttons instead of a touch screen.
Nice straight dash, like the old car. Nice high seating position. Hopefully good visibility, good greenhouse.
Let's see what she does.
Away we go. So Jay, first non-Scout to drive a Scout prototype. So you're official Scouter now, Jay.
Now, if you're hearing any squeaks and rattles, it's because this is a complete prototype. This is just something they cobbled together so we could just get an idea of what it's like.
Get the seating position, get the vibe, and get the feel for it.
I mean, you hear a bit of a gear whine, which will not be obviously in the production model, but it just shows you how much effort goes into building an automobile these days. You know, a lot of times people will redo one of these or a Bronco or something, and you wind up paying $300,000 or $400,000 for something that's not much put together like this prototype, you know? It hasn't been vetted. Obviously, by the time this vehicle is done, it'll be completely vetted. But this is just a test mule. But just to get an idea what the feel, I like this big giant sunroof here. This opens up. Yeah,
canvas roof. We call it the cabana roof, which is going to be gorgeous. Of course, they'll have a bench seat. This place, you know, just to really...
You said a bench, so this console pops out and a bench seat goes in there.
Exactly right. And then we'll offer that on the truck. And we've seen huge demand for the bench seat. I think people love the fact that we kept a real sort of tailgate in the back. Build this sort of, you know, the term we've been using, Jay, is this kind of connection machine where, you know, I think a lot of cars disconnect you. We want to connect again with the bench seat and all that kind of cool stuff. So that works super well. Back to the switches. Up here, all the, you know, we were talking about the differentials and the lockers. That's all mechanically here.
Okay.
One of the things these types of vehicles don't do that well is accessories. Fully load accessories. Those switches control that there, which is dynamite. Great use of materials. The truck will use hempwood, which is really cool. It looks great.
Hempwood?
Hempwood. Grows fast. It looks cool. So yeah, we'll be doing that. And now we're heading out into the tarmac or heading into the...
Yeah, we're just going to drive around the airport here because, again, this is not a street legal car. It doesn't even, the seat belts are not even connected.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah. So
you're the only non-scout to drive the thing, so a lot of trust here. Actually, I don't know if it's the most expensive car you've ever driven, but it's one of them at this stage.
I guess it probably would be, wouldn't it? Yeah. And this is a brand new automobile company, isn't it? Which I think is fascinating. It's nice to see new companies getting started here in America, not being built overseas.
Yeah, I agree. You know, as you know, the Volkswagen Group acquired Navistar, heavy truck company. That gave them the rights to international. You know, the school buses and the 18-wheelers and the medium trucks. But of course, buried in there was the right to Scouts and the vehicles that we made. So we acquired the rights then. And then we pitched the idea. I think, as you know, Jay, basically the U.S. car market, 40% of the profits are in these segments.
Right.
And to have a startup company that has the backing of a brand that knows what it's doing was just a perfect marriage, right? We have a clean sheet, and I think you see the clean sheet with the platform, the decisions that we made. So it's, it's cool. Yeah, the other thing, Jay, I showed you the, you saw the
all the different modes,
which is dynamite. The other one, which is kind of cool, is obviously this is the harvester mode. This is how you can set up all of the things we talk about. The other one that is neat is the, let me see on this one here, is the...
Yeah, the ergonomics of it are great. I like all the, I like
sits
the
up straight,
switches
sits clean.
Yeah.
One of the other things we love is just going to detox mode. So we think the world does have too many screens, so that's it.
Right.
That's all you see. Just shut it down, get
you know, it's
relaxed.
funny. I always try to match my watch to what kind of vehicle I'm driving. So I got this Shinola watch. This is not
Detroit.
I like it because it's made in Detroit. It's a comeback company. Detroit was down and out. They started all these new companies. It's quartz. It's not, doesn't have a lot of complicated movement. You put a battery in it and you drive it. Like the car, it's electric. It just works. It's fine. And so that's what. And I think it's a good looking watch too. And it's not expensive.
Yeah, I have one as well. They're cool watches.
They're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun.
Our engineering facility, as you know, is in Novi, so not too far from where they do a lot of those watches. Plus, I think it's exactly what's happening in America now, where it's let's build things again, let's do things again, and honestly, Jay, it's why we see so much love for Scout. The community loves it, the people loves it. It's something you root for. All right, so we're going a whopping 15, 16 miles per hour. Are you able to handle everything okay here?
Well, obviously the idea is just to get a feel for what it's looked like. Obviously, it's going to drive way better than this.
It's going to drive awesome.
Yeah, but this was just something they put together. And it's a steel body, correct?
Yeah, steel body, little blend of aluminum to get some weight out, but steel body on frame as we discussed, and the performance is going to be breathtaking. 1,000 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60, 3.5, so a capable vehicle also being that quick is going to be powerful.
And standard universal plug-in, obviously charge anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And then also with that, of course, out at campsites, you've got two 120 volt chargers. You can charge over there. You got a 240 volt in the car. So the car basically is a generator as well, right? It's a gas generator, so you can charge anything. You can power anything on campsites. We designed it to sort of have this concept of work and play, so you can use it on work sites, use it on play sites. So it's a...
Well, a lot of automakers complain because when they're hybrid vehicles, they had to take their gas engine vehicle and convert it and add another power plant, which eats up the total profit margin. But when you start from the ground up as a 2 power plant system, I imagine it's a bit more economical.
Yeah, Jay, you nailed it. I think the two things that make it perfect is you're not changing the platform at all. The platform stays the same on both variants. The other thing that's beautiful is coming down the factory line, one line, you can put them both down. So depending on which way demand goes, right now we're seeing about 70% of the sales here in the Traveler, the car you and I are driving, and about 30% in the truck.
Yeah.
And then the majority is for the range extender as well, which we think is great. And but you don't have new development, new factories, new lines.
And you can buy this vehicle without the range extender. You can buy it as a pure EV.
Pure electric, 100%. That gives you 350 miles of range and a pure EV car as well.
I guess I don't know why anybody would want that. I mean, why wouldn't I want the range extender just in case? I'm the type of guy when I go into even if I'm not, give me a large pizza. What if I get really hungry? I'm not going to eat the whole thing, but I just want to have the large pizza.
In fairness, Jay, I did see an electric vehicle plugged in your master shop there. So, look, electric vehicles, look, it's 10% of the U.S. market. I think it'll grow to 20%. I think obviously cool technology, cool everything, but I think best of both worlds is what we have. Those who want it we're there for you.
Yeah, I always love having a backup system. You know, I use my electric vehicle when I'm running around town to go to the airport, leaving a car there.
Exactly.
And then my gas cards when I want to have fun and get a little.
But the research says exactly what you said. With having the range extender, you expand the market by 40%, no debate.
Yeah.
And what we were surprised by is even electric enthusiasts wanted to have it as well, because they said exactly what you said. I'll always drive electric, but 10% of the time, I like having the backup. So it works well.
And this is pretty much a multi-billion-dollar investment, isn't it?
100%. The plant is $2 billion.
Right.
And then obviously develop a car, engineer, start an entirely new company. But the beautiful thing, Jay, which gives us a nice competitive advantage, is basically we have everything you love about a startup. Clean slate, efficient plants, all new technology, software. Yeah, we have the backing of a group. We know how to make a car. We know how to get material costs down.
Right.
So it's a perfect combo. You know, and to think, Jay, less than 2 years ago, the company was basically announced and we had nothing.
Right.
So the speed that we're able to locate a facility, locate a site, build a factory, engineer a car is the team's doing an amazing job.
Yeah, that's terrific. Again, don't judge this car by what you hear, because it's a prototype car. You're getting gear wind. You're getting. This is one of the very first vehicles, isn't it? Okay.
The only one. The only one there is, and there won't be another, right? As we're developing the real car.
And in less than 2 years, you'll have a $2 billion factory done, and cars coming out
Cars coming off.
Yeah.
It's going to be a Herculean effort, but we're the team's on it. We're on it. We started with 1 employee, Jay, and now we're upwards of 800 employees.
Right.
350 of them down in South Carolina. The rest are in Michigan engineering the car. But we invited all the Scout enthusiasts from all over the country.
Right.
A bunch of them in California, a bunch of them in Iowa, a bunch of them in Indiana. And we showed them the concept. We've been working with them, so they love it as well. The fact that their dreams coming back, and we did it the right way, right? We didn't make a poser car, a wannabe car. We made an authentic, real deal truck.
What kind of model range did the original International Scout have? They had a pickup truck and an SUV. Was that it, or was there other vehicles? I'm trying to remember. They never built a car, did they?
Never built a car, which, I mean, the sad thing is they were sort of the geniuses of the SUV craze. At the time, SUVs were like 2% of America. Now they're 75% of America. So they predicted the whole thing. They just struggled to execute it, but they had the right insight. No, they basically made the Scout 2, which you know is a 2-door vehicle. They made a Traveler and a Traveler, which are basically longer versions of the same SUV. And then they had the Terra, which is a pickup truck. And
I remember American Motors came out with the Eagle, which was a 4-wheel drive.
I remember that vehicle.
It seemed like, just the most amazing breakthrough. Look at that. Yeah. And of course in snow and for hunters and for people like that, it's just the greatest vehicle ever. I know people will still love those things.
Yeah. You know, both those companies, I would say, were super prescient, right? Way ahead of the time.
Right.
They struggled more on macro issues versus their product strategy was spot on.
Now, can you get a solid roof or
exactly? You can get full solid roof, steel roof. You can get full glass there, or you get the cabana, which is a fabric open top. So either one is the option.
Yeah, and it's a big sunroof, isn't it? Look at that.
Yeah, we maxed it out, which is what we wanted. You know, a lot of people believe in the removable roofs, of course. A lot of noise, a lot of vibration. We wanted to go this route, and then the only thing preventing it from going further, obviously the antennas back there, but it's a massive roof. We wanted to make sure the second row had all the daylight, had all that open air as well. You know, the team did a slick job. I know you noticed it black on black, but you know, the plaids were such a big thing for Scouts in the 70s, so the team wanted to, play a little homage to that. Now they put it through. Super short dash, which again goes to the original Scouts we love.
And where were they based out of? Wisconsin? Where was it?
No, they were in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Yeah. So the factory was there, and obviously you go there today, and you see what happens when these great American iconic companies go away, and that's why we have to build things again and not let that happen again.
Yeah. No, I think it's terrific.
Yeah, Fort Wayne, I still go to a lot of the events up there. There's still a lot of enthusiasts are up there, so each summer they hold a festival up there, still all about the Scouts.
Did you look to Indiana as a place maybe to
we did look at it, actually. It was, if you can imagine, we looked at 74 sites to pick the factory. What everyone forgets about factories is they always think, well, real estate's America's big country, it's easy. Land is not the issue. The issue is having power. You need massive power,
Right.
a lot of water, and you need the infrastructure.
Right.
And one thing that was important to us, we wanted to have a train line in and out of the plant
Right.
to move the raw materials, move the supply. We also, for export, wanted to be relatively close to a port. That's something we have in Charleston.
Right.
So the site we have outside of Columbia, the capital of South Carolina, fit the bill. Tons of water, tons of power,
Right.
good workforce. But we did look at a site in Indiana as well, and as you can imagine, but we landed there.
Right. Right.
But to go find 4,000 direct employees, train 4,000 employees to work in a factory,
Yeah.
that will become the biggest effort. But the state, I don't know if you know South Carolina too well, it has a lot of automotive manufacturing. One
Right.
part of the state's got the big BMW plant, as you know. Volvo's in the other side of the state, so there's a good supply base there.
But like I said before, I like it because you're not reinventing the wheel. I mean, solid axle vehicles, I mean, Mustangs had them for years. In fact, initially, they couldn't give away the independent rear suspension on
Yep.
the Mustang because people
Yep.
like to drag race. No, I want the,
Yep.
you know, so it's technology, you know, taken to the next level. And I think that's
You're
that's
exactly
pretty
right.
cool. It's exactly what it
right.
should be.
Exactly
The
right.
range extender
Yeah.
is what makes the vehicle really desirable for somebody like me.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
electric stuff, I'm always afraid of running out. So the fact that I can just automatically just go to gas, I think that's
Yeah,
terrific.
exactly. And the team is doing a phenomenal job where you can drive all electric, you can drive in dual or hybrid mode.
Right.
If you're towing something and need more of the gas engine working, we've dialed that in as well, so it's a really good solution. And honestly, it addresses exactly all of the noise, I'll call it, in America right now, where electric vehicles have a lot of cool things to offer, but it addresses the two biggest challenges
Well, you
right
know,
off the bat.
I had a Chevy Volt for about 9 years.
Right.
And we put 93,000 miles on it, only 3,800 of which were gas.
Yeah.
Because we used it at the shop. We'd run out, we had got 40 miles. We'd run errands all day, plug it in overnight. And over the 9-year period, it was mostly just one of our guys lived about 28 miles away.
Just
so
beyond the...
He would get it, plug it in at home.
Yeah.
So he never ever touched the gas engine.
Yeah.
It was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
And this, as you can imagine, you know, the range extender will have 150 miles of EV range. So you have a lot of EV range. I mean, most Americans drive 30, 40 miles a day, so you'll
Now,
have that.
Does that have the feature that if the gas is getting old in the tank, it will signal you to run?
Exactly right. We'll have the sensors for that, so
Right.
then you'll have to kick it in at some point to burn it and then, get it exactly right.
Because most people don't realize, people think gas lasts forever. It comes out of the ground. No,
It gets refined.
it
A
only
few
holds
things happen.
its vitality for maybe six months at best.
Yeah.
After that, it begins to turn,
Yeah.
and it loses more and more power.
Yeah.
So you have a sensor that lets you know when it would do that on the Volt. We filled it up once a year.
Yeah.
Every like December 10th, when
And
my
then you-
dad's
and
birthday.
then you tracked it.
We
Yeah.
filled it, yeah. And then when the light went off, gas starting to turn. Oh,
Right.
We just run it on gas.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Fill it,
This
fill
will
it
be
up
the
again.
same
Yeah,
exact
so-
one.
No, I think it's terrific.
Yeah. The other thing that's nice, Jay, about the engine is you can really optimize the engine and the drive cycle since it has one mission. Its mission is to charge the battery. You know, as we discussed, right, the axles will be spinning off the battery power. So you don't need complicated turbos. You don't need a very complicated engine, which is
And you know, people get
dynamite.
spoiled. 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds is really fast.
Very fast.
I mean, that's
And by
Corvette,
the way,
Ferrari fast.
And obviously, a large vehicle, body on frame, highly capable vehicle. Most
Yeah.
fast vehicles also don't have 100% gradability, all the ground clearance, all the other things. So that combination's it's a home run.
And 4-wheel disc brakes.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, there's no decontenting here. It's got everything it should have.
No,
Yeah.
what we find out is the smartest thing is to put the good stuff in right off the bat. It's what the buyer wants, and
Right.
not play the step-up game all the time where
Yeah.
you barely equip it and then away you go. And we also sort of had this mantra where even a base Scout to a fully equipped Scout need to be a Scout.
Yeah.
Body on frame, all-wheel drive, all the things that you want and expect. We debated even excluding this screen to go really back to basics, but yeah, we kept it in.
Well, there are certain things people expect,
Exactly.
like electric windows. You know,
Yes.
there's a whole generation of kids that never even cranked a window.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I remember my car, the crank broke and I had a pair of pliers, so you had to pass the pliers back and forth and crank the pair of vice grips, crank the thing back. You know, but Jay, you mentioned it before with, it is an exciting time because everything got distilled down to 1 to 2 companies, whether it was beer or whether it was cars, and now we have this era where new innovations coming, new technologies, new consumer look. It's a time and it's exciting, right? From startups to old schools reinventing themselves. And
Any time a new automobile company starts, I get excited because for a while there, everything was either going to be Volkswagen, Audi, or General Motors. Yeah. And now, like I said, you've got Rivian, you've got Lucid, you have Scout. Yeah. I mean, these are all 21st century companies, and I think it's really, I think it's really exciting. So, and thanks for bringing this prototype. We're not judging it on anything other than just what it looks like. It's not
I promise
like
we'll be back, and some of those rattles, they'll all be long gone. But
good. Scott, thank you, my friend.
Jay, always a pleasure. Thank you. Total blast.
Coming in 27. See you guys next week.